My name is Dr. Helen Swartz. I've been in practice for about over 40 years. I'm a practicing pediatrician, member of the Academy of Pediatrics and board certified, and been in Miami over 30 years, 35 years, practicing. It's real easy. Simply sitting in a waiting room or on an airplane, people all the time are coming down with viruses, 5, 6 days, even shorter. Influenza, very fast, as short as 2 to 3 days. So it can be really easy. And so that's what the vaccines do. They avoid that. And if they do get contracted, frequently they'll get a very mild case if they do get.
My name is Barry Nelson. I'm a tax and estate planning attorney. I also started a school center for children with autism called the Victory Center in North Miami Beach. We started the school because I have a son who's now 25, and he was diagnosed with autism when he was about 2. And at that time, we examined what we should be doing, and it was at a very early stage of a time when a lot of children were getting diagnosed with autism, and there really were not services available that were top-notch.
I think what's going to happen with the anti-vaxxers, vaccine people, is that they're really going to be put in their place very quickly, because due to public health scares and significant disease. The measles vaccine is the big issue, the big bugaboo in the situation. And for statistics purposes, those who study medicine know that, for instance, in Cuba, when the colonists came, they wiped out the indigenous population practically, because they all died thanks to measles.
I have followed the dialogue because long ago, I was one of the believers that the vaccinations that Jesse got when he was around 2 years old may have been one of the factors in the change in his development. And when this report came out of England that said something to the effect that there was a causal relationship, that it really got me concerned. That theory has been debunked to the best of my knowledge. But I did see, it was coincidental possibly, but it appeared that Jesse lost abilities shortly after he was 2 years old.
I think the vaccines are a great thing, and one of the best things that we as pediatricians can do for parents, and help them to understand that they're safe and worthwhile.
I see the consequence of those who have decided not to allow their children to get the measles vaccine and other vaccines. And so I have 3 typical kids, and most likely 2 of them will have kids. I don't have any grandchildren now, but my message to them would be what my mother told me, which is do everything in moderation. And I'm still upset with the fact that the pediatrician who gave Jesse his shots gave him 4 or 5 shots at one time when he was about 18 months old. It just seemed to me, when my wife called me and told me she was at the pediatrician and he was getting measles, mumps, rubella, and hepatitis, and maybe another shot, that it just seemed too much. So for my children, if they listen to me, even if the doctors say it's okay, I would rather them space it out. I don't know whether the doctors think it's more efficient, so they only have 1 visit with that child, but I don't care, it's just not worth any risk.
I think 2 vaccines at a time is probably enough. I'm talking about injections. Then they can get an oral vaccine, you know, like we used to have the oral polio. Now it's been put in, it's believed to be safer, so now it's in an injection form. But they've combined vaccines, and so they give less and less shots, but nevertheless, you know, you can space it out. You have to. It's just like when you put a rocket up in space, you do it. It slows down, so you give it another booster and another booster until it stays in orbit. That's the whole idea with the vaccines. There's always been some anti-vaccine people out there for so-called religious reasons, or didn't want to hurt the child. Just like there's people who don't want chlorinated water or fluorinated water. They don't believe in stop signs. You know, there's people who just don't believe that public health is very important. And so anti-vaxxers, there's always been some. Recently, there's been more in the last 15 years due to the measles vaccine study that was totally false. So that's generated a number of more anti-vaccine people. Unfortunately, a lot more than has been necessary.